Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John G. I'm a registered nurse working in the United States, but initially from Kenya, as I mentioned in my previous video. And today I want us to talk about the immigration process, especially for us, the nurses, because initially, as I stated earlier, I came to the United States courtesy of my nursing career. So many of you may not know, but there are several agencies that recruit nurses, and there are about actually there are more. I think more than 5, but I'll just mention the ones that are very common, especially in Kenya. So like now for me, I used one called Avant Healthcare Professionals. There is also one called Ogrady Penton. There is also one called MedPro. We have also got Connectic USA. So you guys can go do your research and check on the reviews, and maybe you may be convinced on the agency that maybe you may want to apply. So in my case, as I've said, I came courtesy of Avant Healthcare Professional. It's an organization that's stated in the United States, and basically it recruits nurses all over the world. And for me, I began my journey back in 2019, around May. Then there are usually processes that you follow before you immigrate to the United States. It's a long process, but if you're dedicated and you're willing, you will make it. So basically the processes involves several sections from before you even reach to the immigration. There are several processes that you undergo to reach that process. And the first process is to apply, where you actually go online. You check their website and apply. From there, they respond to you. And once they respond to you, they will give you the next stage that you will follow. Basically, it's the pre-approval phase where they decide whether they'll allow you to continue with the process. And basically what they do, they'll tell you to submit maybe your documents, which is your nursing, maybe your nursing diploma or degree or master's, or whatever that is appropriate for you, or whatever level of education that you're in. And after you submit your document, they'll also ask for your license from the Nursing Council, and also the transcripts. These are your performances during your course. Then from there, they'll schedule you for an interview. Basically, you get one of the nurses from the United States who will call you. And I would say that some of these processes, they're usually challenging in the first phases, but as you get used to, it becomes much easier because you find one thing, and one of the major challenges that we usually encounter is the accent. We in Kenya, we are used to the British accent, and now here you are listening to somebody who is used to another different accent that is totally different. So sometimes you end up not even hearing what the person is asking or whatever he's saying, but with time you just get used to. Basically for me, what I would do, I would make sure that every time, because they'll schedule the call and they'll tell you that we'll be calling you maybe on Tuesday, on Wednesday, depending on your timeline. Actually, they are very open and they are willing to listen to you. So the time that you give them, that's the time that they are going to call you. So I would make sure that I'm in the house, I'm seated, and I would put on my earphones because I would not want to miss a word. And the first stages, I will keep on telling them, oh, I'm sorry, please repeat what you just said because I didn't get that. But don't worry, with time you'll get used to them. As you get used to so many calls, or they'll keep on calling you day in, day out, you get used to them, and sometimes you even adjust that you don't have to keep on having your earphones to listen to them. So after you're done with the first phase of the clinical interview and they are convinced that you're good to go, the next phase now, they'll tell you to submit your document. Now, this time not to them. For them, maybe you already sent your document and they are convinced that it's true. You provided the actual documents that shows that surely you went to school. So now here comes another body that's called, it depends with the agency, but for Avant, mostly they prefer a body called CGFNS. So this is the body that verifies the document for you. And what happens here now, you send you pay. There's a fee that Avant or maybe the agents that you're in will pay for you. Depending on the agent, some will tell you to pay, some of them will pay for you. And once you pay, or whoever pays, either you or the agency, so they'll send you documents to take to school. So, and I want you to get me clear, you are not the one sending the documents, it's the school. And if the documents from the nursing council, basically the license and the licenses and all those things, the nursing council will send them. That's how serious this body is. They don't want you to interfere with the document. They want to get the actual documents from the school. So basically what they do, they'll send you a paper, and once you receive the paper, you take one to school and one to the nursing council. Basically, both papers are addressed specifically to the place that they want you to take. So if they want you to take to the nursing council, it will be addressed to the nursing council. If they want you to take to the school, it will be addressed to the school, the specific school that you already informed them that you went to. So usually this takes some time. It may take 2, 3, 4 months, depending on how fast and the workload that they have. And once they are convinced that surely you went to school and you got all the documents, and they are convinced that what you stated is as per what the document says, then they'll give you something called the SES report. The SES report is basically the credential evaluations for the documents. So they just give you a document stating that we have done our background research and we are convinced that this person went to school and he provided all the documents that were needed and all those things. And they'll say, now you're good. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that in these processes now, they are preparing you so that they want you now to get the access to do the exam. Because before, as I said initially, before you even reach to the immigration process, it's a long process that you go through. Immigration is just the last process and it's the easiest actually after you're done with the rest. So in this case, what they're trying to do is they just want to make sure that you got all the documents to sit for your exam. So once you get the SES report, your agency will apply for you now another process that's called the ATT. ATT basically means authorization to test. And this ATT is usually now what gives you now I don't know how to call it, power, what I'll call it, but it's now the actual document that will allow you to sit for the exam. This exam that you're doing is called the NCLEX. Basically what it does is the national licensure for the national licensure examination for the United States. Basically, it's the exam that you do, like the one that we do back in Kenya, the one that allows you to get the license for working in the United States. So for Kenya, it's basically similar to doing the nursing council, the one that we do in Kenya. For the nurses, you remember what we call the final exam, the qualifying exam for the nurses at the nursing council. So basically it's a similar exam that they do here in the United States. So once you get the ATT, you are booked to go do the exam, and once you do the exam, you are good to go. By that time, I forgot to say, by the time that you are going to do the exam, the agency has already applied your document, because you remember that we have got different states in the United States, and each state here has got different rules and all those things. So for you to do the exam, the agency will register you with a specific board of nursing, and the specific board of nursing will it's purely dependent on the agency where they want to place you, but it doesn't mean that this is where you are going to work. So these boards of nursing, each state in the United States has got its board of nursing. So the agency decide on where to place you. They may decide to take you in Montana, in Texas, in Florida, all those states, name them. You know all these states from the United States. And but purely they don't most of these agencies won't place you in some of the states. They'll be specific. Like now for Avant, I know they don't place people in California and all those states that have got a high cost of living. So once you get the approval from the board of nursing, so you're good to go. So we say number one, you've got your assess report. Your assess report gave you now the ability to get your ATT. And ATT, I said, is the one that it's authorization to test. This gives you now the power to go and do the exam. And remember, I've also added that you've got the board of nursing. This means that once you do the exam will be sent to the board of nursing. So that means that you're given, once you do the exam and you pass, you are allowed to work in that state. And if you, maybe later in the process as we continue, I'll educate you on what happens when you maybe did your exam in a place like Florida and you want to work another place like Texas. So you have to do some endorsements and all those things. So once now you've got all these documents, everything is ready. So now again, your agency comes. You can see that these processes are very long, and for sure it takes time. So once I tell you that I started the process in 2019 and came to the United States in 2022, you get the hassle that goes on in between. So from there, you go now and your agency will book you to go and do the exam. In Kenya, they don't have these centers for you to do the exam. So what happens, the agency will have to, or whichever way, if you're doing it as an independent candidate, you will facilitate yourself to go and do the exam where the exam is done. So most of the time you'll find that the exam will be done in South Africa, I think, is the one that is nearest to us. You've got other places like the Philippines. I don't know whether Brazil you have a center, but I know mostly if you're from Kenya, they'll take you to South Africa or India, depending on where the slots are available. So for me, in my case, I went to South Africa. So you go to the examination set. That's another story for the exam. And by this time, you're well prepared. The agency has ensured that you are well educated, you have learned, they have sent you the material, they have put you through the education process, which will take some time. They have to be convinced. By this time, they have allocated you the teachers, they have allocated you lessons, they have allocated you so many things. I'll do another video on the preparation for the exam, the one that they do, and the one that also you have to do as an individual. We'll do that on another video. So once, today I just want to give you a highlight of what basically happens, but we'll discuss these things as we proceed with the videos that we'll be doing. So once you're booked for the exam, depending on the agency and also depending whether you're an independent candidate, they'll facilitate your flight to go do the exam, then come back to Kenya and wait for your results. Some of us, there is a trick that you do to get the results maybe early if you're not patient to wait for the exam to be ready. I mean, for the results to be ready, maybe it may take 2-3 days or even more. So there's a trick that you can do to get the results. So again, we'll discuss that when you're discussing about the exam. And once you're done with the exam, you of course know there are two results: either you pass or fail. If you pass, then your process continues. You now have to come, take some time. Maybe you can give yourself a month or so, prepare for your IELTS exam. And then once you are done with your IELTS exam, then this now where the process, where you begin now to prepare for your papers for the immigration. Because basically the concept is they're trying to apply for you a visa, and the visa that they want you to get is basically it's a green card, but not the actual green card that you win under Rotary. This one is under employment based. So they need you to have all the papers, all the documents before you go to the interview, so that when you go there, you're just going to produce evidence that you've got all the papers that are needed to go and work. So they need to give you a go ahead to go and work. And in the United States, they need so many nurses because the numbers, the number of nurses here, actually, there is space. I believe there is space for everyone because they need so many nurses here. So that's where the process begins. And what happens is you have done your IELTS at this point. Then there is the visa screening. So that's another thing that I'll talk about on another day. So basically today I wanted just to give you the highlights, and please, just as I have been requesting you, please subscribe to my channel, share, and we have got so many stories to share, and the stories that are very helpful. You're also free to ask questions on the channel, just to ensure that I respond to them, and I'll respond to them to the best of my knowledge. So please share, subscribe, and continue liking the videos, and I really appreciate it. So we are going to do more videos and more stories as we continue. Thank you.